what this is. It's belief, and then it's taking the lessons on each and every day that we share with you. So that's where I thought that song was kind of cool, and came to us from The Prince of Egypt, which was a great Disney movie if you've not watched it. So today we're going to talk a little bit about around fear, and so we've touched on fear through some of the other stuff we've studied before. But I'm going to read from the text a few of the sections around fear, and then we're going to jump into lesson number 6. And we will review the 5 lessons we've given so far. So we'll kind of go back as a refresher. So when we talk about fear, in the text it's called fear and conflict. And it says, being afraid seems to be involuntary, something beyond your own control. And I think that's such a strong statement. Being afraid seems to be involuntary, something beyond your own control. Yet I have said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary. My control can take over everything that does not matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does, if you so choose. So fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. Fear prevents me from giving you my control. The presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of mind. This removes them from my control, and this is coming from the context of the one God, something more powerful than us. When he says mine, that's the context. I should have said that before we started. So this removes them from my control, makes you feel personally responsible for them. This is an obvious confusion of levels. So fear is not involuntary. It's in your control, is what it's saying. It's your control, not any other being's control. It goes on to say the correction of fear is your responsibility. When you ask for release from fear, you are implying that it is not. So when you ask for release from fear, you're implying that it's not your responsibility. And that's an interesting one. You should ask instead for help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. These conditions always entail a willingness to be separate. At the level you can help it, you are much too tolerant of mind wandering and are passively condoning your mind's miscreations. The particular result does not matter, but the fundamental error does. So the correction is always the same. Before you choose to do anything, ask me if your choice is in accord with mine. If you are sure that it is, there will be no fear. And I think that's a powerful one. So whatever your belief is, if there's a belief that there's something greater than you, if you follow what that would be, then there wouldn't be fear. And that's always the gauge you can check against. So that's I think that's a strong statement. There's a couple other sections in here that I just in this section that I wanted to hit. The last one talks about everyone experiences fear. Yet it would take very little right thinking to realize why fear occurs. Few appreciate the real power of the mind, and no one remains fully aware of it all the time. So let me say that again. Few appreciate the real power of the mind, and no one remains fully aware of it all of the time. However, if you hope to spare yourself from fear, there are some things you must realize, and realize fully. The mind is very powerful and never loses its creative force. It never sleeps. Every instant it is creating. It is hard to recognize that thought and belief comes into a power surge that can literally move mountains. It appears at first glance that to believe such power about yourself is arrogant. But that is not the real reason you do not believe it. You prefer to believe that your thoughts cannot exert real influence because you are actually afraid of them. Afraid of your thoughts. This may ally awareness of the guilt, but at the cost of perceiving the mind as impotent. If you believe what you think is inefficient, you may cease to be afraid of it, but you are hardly likely to respect it. There are no idle thoughts. All thinking produces form at some level. There's a phrase I have over here on the wall to the left of one of my computer screens that says, to think is to create. To think is to create. And so our thinking is always going on. There's always that happening. And that whole idea around fear is that I think sometimes what holds us back is that we think it and we bring fear into it. So let's take this into that lesson for today. And just as a refresher, we started out last Monday with this statement that we practiced through the day. Nothing I see in this room means anything. And it's that whole idea of just being with that. On Tuesday, we talked about this. I have given everything I see in this room, on this street, through this window, all the meaning that it has for me. And then on Wednesday, we did I do not understand anything I see. It was that just being in wonder kind of place, of being, I should say. And then on Thursday, we went over to, I got the wrong, I've got them, there we go, here we go. So Thursday, we thought, we went on this one, it said, these thoughts do not mean anything. They're like the things I see in this room, from this window, on this street. And then we finished up on Friday with this one, and that is, I'm never upset for the reason that I think. So I'm never upset for the reason that I think. And the coaching around that was to put it in context of what that was from a feeling and a being thing. So it could say, I'm not angry at, my husband for the reasons I think. I'm not angry at that buyer for the reasons that I think. So it's angry and then specific as to what was that source of anger, or fear or worry at some feeling. And that's really what that is. I'm never upset for the reason that I think. And so we asked you to practice that through the day on Friday. And today's lesson is this one. And the statement is, I am upset because I see something that is not there. So if you kind of see a pattern in these lessons, they're building one on each other. And so if we go back to what we talked about on Friday, and that is this one, and that was that I am never upset for the reason that I think. I'm never angry at so and so for the reason I think. I'm never afraid of that thing for the reason that I think. And now it's this one. It's I am upset because I see something that's not there. So lesson 6. It says this, that the exercise with this idea are very similar to the preceding ones. So they kind of work with what we've done already. Again, it is necessary to name both the form of the upset, whether it be anger, fear, worry, depression, and the perceived source of that upset. Very specific to that. So, I am angry at my spouse because I see something that is not there. That'd be an example. Anger would be the form of upset, and then the specific source would be the spouse. So or another example would be, I am worried about my health because I see something that is not there. So the item is worry, and the source would be my health. So that's the specificity it's asking us to do in this exercise today. So today's idea is useful for application to anything that seems to upset you. Let me say that again. Today's idea is useful for application to anything that seems to upset you and can profitably be used throughout the day for that purpose. So if you find yourself an upset, just stop for a moment and think about what that is, what that feeling is, and then what the source is specific. However, the 3 or 4 practice periods which are required, we're going to ask you to do this 3 or 4 times today, should be preceded by a minute or so of mind searching, and for the application of the idea of each upsetting thought uncovered in the search. So just take a moment and pause, think about where this is and where you are, and then make that statement to yourself. Again, if you resist applying the idea to some upsetting thoughts more than to others, meaning you're going to filter which ones are upsetting more, and that's the one I want to work with, you're going to remind yourself of the 2 cautions stated in a previous lesson, and those were this. There are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. It's all about your peace of mind. Peace of mind. So they're all, if it's an upset of any level, they're all equal. So deal with them in this way. I'm upset because I see something that's not there. So saying it again, and I am not angry at so-and-so because I see something that is not there. The other one was this: I cannot keep the form of upset and let the others go. or I cannot keep this form of upset and let the others go. Again, don't judge the upsets. If something upsets you, walk it through this process. For the purpose of these exercises, then, I will regard them all as the same, and that's what we're asking that you do. That, yeah, we're just looking at them all and treating them all the same. All the same. Now, that statement is, I'll just pop it on the screen about there are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind, and peace, specifically peace of mind, P-E-A-C-E, the calming of your mind. So that's our lesson for today. And that was lesson 6. As we move into the week, it's going to be interesting because there's some we're going to go a little bit more into kind of this area other than, let me ask this question. I'm going to take us off screen share for a moment. What are you sensing from the course so far? I mean, like, what is it that we're starting to uncover or work in? What's present for you? Because I can tell you my thoughts, yet I'd like to hear yours. Go ahead.
There seems to be a feeling of being above it all, just practicing to be above it all. And this one, just dealing with every single upset equally, will enable us to preserve our ongoing peace of mind. When we allow ourselves to tolerate small upsets, it eats away at that peace of mind. And so, you know, we may, and again, initially resist the idea of dealing with all of the upsets equally because, you know, just in life, some seem bigger and some seem smaller. And we say, don't sweat the small stuff. Well, here we're saying, deal with the small stuff. And it'll just teach us to deal with everything.
Right, because your mind doesn't shut off. So even if you just said it's a small thing, it's still going. So you've got to, if you can get it to the spot where you neutralize it, then it's gone. And that's really what this is. So I love that, Lori. And you know where you're going, and we get to there eventually in this practice. There's a space of becoming like an observer, where what you described is like you're seeing it, like you're above it, looking down as the stories unfold. And that practice is actually a really great one around really getting clarity, because you don't get caught up in the filtering or the meaning that we put on a lot of things. So I love that. I love that, Lori. So that's it. Now here's what's interesting. There's 365 lessons. 2/3 of them are working to get rid of the programming we all have with us right now. And then the last third is the creation of the future. So it says that, twice as much crap we've got to get rid of before we can get to the creation of what's ahead of us. And I believe that, actually. So that's why each and every day we're just going to add one more piece to this. So thank you for sharing that, Lori. Anyone else have any thoughts with regard to what this is beginning to do? So let me ask this question. What does life look like when you can walk through it being like coated in Teflon? Meaning that whatever comes at you emotionally doesn't hook you into something that doesn't serve you well. Is that an opportunity for more joy? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Is it an opportunity for more enjoyment of life? Is it an opportunity to be better for the people that you interact with? See, that's what this could lead to. That's why I'm excited about this study. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you. Do we have any last announcements from anybody before we go on with our day? Anyone have any announcements? Anything that we need to make sure everyone knows about? All right. So have an awesome Monday, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll go into lesson number 7. So thanks for being with me. Have a great day.
And you as well. Thanks,
Lori.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for being there.